Hello, thanks for checking in. As always, subscriptions are appreciated if you like the content I'm doing as I'm building up my library. Today I'll be looking at Fallout Shelter, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games. It's from 2020. Not to be confused with another game offered from Fantasy Flight Games, Fallout, the board game. Of course, they're both based on the great video game. They might be somewhat complementary because the board game is, largely what's going on outside the shelter, and this is obviously what's going on inside the shelter. I'm not sure if you can tie them together exactly though. It comes in this metal lunchbox appearing thing, which is kind of cute, tied with a 1950s theme. Of course, the artwork is great and fun for the theme. Images on the side as well. On the back it's got some images of the interior of the shelter. I'll open it up here and check it out. Some overview here. In event of overseer death, if you're reading this, your overseer is dead. As the officers of your vault, it is your responsibility to lead your people through this tumultuous time. An election will be scheduled following an appropriate bereavement period. The dwellers of your vault will then elect one of you to be the new overseer. The following pages outline how to manage the vault during that period. You will need to assign your dwellers to tasks, manage the vault's resources, and keep everyone safe from threats. Keep in mind, whichever one of you can inspire the most happiness will win the hearts and minds of your dwellers for the coming election. Credits: Fantasy Flight Games. Game design development: Andrew Fisher. Graphic design: Michael Silsby. Graphic design manager: Christopher Hosch. Executive game designer: Corey Ganiska. And then Bethesda Softworks and playtesters. Components have this 12-page rulebook. It's got some good illustrations and examples. Got an icon reference on the back. And Fantasy Flight Games, in my opinion, always does a good job. Sometimes they're a little bit limited, though, in how well they do the storage solutions, but I really like how they did the storage solutions on this one. Everything fits in there very nicely. There's 4 of these for 4 different players where you have your resource tokens. And these are the special indicators. Will affect what happens on the cards. I like how they do this solution where you put these resources in the individual tracks. There's 72 of these resource cubes. 28 dwellers, 7 of each kind, and they're all individually unique miniatures. It's very nice having miniatures instead of, the wooden kind of meeple kind of thing, so I really appreciate that. Their size works well for the game. You have happiness indicators. These would be 5 happiness. These would be 1. So first player token. You have 2 dice. 5 elevators. Example shown here. 31 items. For example, a parrot. 18 threats. And you have 30 rooms. I like how they do the threats because they have a transparent thing, and then when you put them on a room, they kind of cover up that area. It's pretty innovative how they do that. Appreciate it. I'm really happy with all the components. It seems like a very nice solution for a smaller game. And then I'll demonstrate the rules by going through setup and play. Get to set up and play here. So here's setup. I'm going to be doing 2 players, the yellow and the blue. And first of all, you build the vault. So you find the elevator with the red back and the rooms with the red back. And you lay them out in this specific order of rooms. And then you take, for each of the players, and I'm doing 2, you take the elevator of their colors. So I have a yellow and a blue elevator. Take their resource track. Take 2 of their dwellers each. First player marker on the one starting, and supposed to do the one who is most recently underground, but I'm just going to do it randomly and have yellow be first. Then you create the supply. So you shuffle the items, the threats, and the remaining rooms. You put the decks above the vault here. And then you draw 3 items from the item deck and place them to the side here. And you draw 3 rooms and place them side here. These 3 items would be the item track, and these 3 items are the room track. Then we're ready to play. The game occurs in a number of rounds, and each player does their turn in the round, and in each player's turn, first you spawn threats. You skip that the first turn. And then you place dwellers. Starting the first player, each take turns placing 1 dweller in any available space, and these are the spaces. In the vault, you continue taking turns clockwise until each set of dwellers are passed. Then lastly, you recall dwellers. Recall all your dwellers by removing them from the vault and placing them in front of you again. Then a new round starts. So we'll go through play here. And of interest, when you place dwellers here, these are resources you have to spend to get these benefits, and you gather the benefits, left to right above there, and some icons reference. Here you can get a resource cube from the corresponding track, get or pay resource cube from a track of your choice, gain happiness, get a new dweller, gain the first player token, build a room of your choice from the room track on your level of the vault. When we recall this dweller, trade in a special stat. You may exchange the resources shown on either side at the rate indicated. Heal this dweller, gain an item of your choice from the item track. Ready an item of your choice, discard all cards from the corresponding track and draw new cards to replace them. Some of these are costs. Injure the dwellers. Injure the dweller that is placed in space. Roll dice if the total is below this number. Injure the dweller, otherwise gain the reward. Pay the resources shown in the upper right corner of the room you're building. A dweller trained in this matching special stat gets the space's special reward twice. Only an injured dweller can be placed in a space. You must place 2 dwellers in the same turn to use the space. And the game ends at the end of the round in which either a player builds a 6th room on their level of the vault, where the levels correspond to the elevator of their color, or the threat deck runs out of the cards, and that at the end of that round, each player must discard 1 happiness for each threat on their level of the vault, and then the player with the most happiness wins. So we'll get into the first turn here. He'll go first. So in the first turn you don't spawn any threats, but you do that in the next ones. So in the first turn we place dwellers. You place them on a space in the vault. You can't place a dweller in a space that's already contains a dweller. So he wants to get some resources. He'll go over here to get some water. And if he has the P special ability, he'll get double the resources, but he doesn't. But he'll get 1 water. Blue will go. He'll get 2 energy if he gets here, and he'd have double that if he had the S ability, but he doesn't. you'll get 2 energy. Many of the actions require resources, so it's good they're building them up. And he'll want to get an energy. In the second spot here, there's only 1 energy, so he'll only get 1. And then blue will want to get a water. So it's pretty straightforward. And then you recall your dwellers, bring them back. Set them off to the side here. If they're up here, then it indicates that they have that ability, but they don't have it yet. And the next turn, now we spawn threats. And there's little numbers here on each of these spaces. Since we're rolling 2 6-sided dice, it goes from 2 up to 12. These last ones don't have a number on them. And you roll for each level that has rooms, and these don't, so there's no possibility of getting threats there. So roll for the top. 8. Spawns in the water treatment. Take from the... place the transparent image there, and I really like how they do that. And since this has a special ability number on it, A, if you have an A, you get double the resources, and the question mark means you get any resource of your choice. So with an A, if you have to fight, you would put a dweller there, roll and see if you get higher, and then you would get your choice of resources, 2 if you got the A. But now we will place dwellers. And since this threat is here, that blocks you from getting that water from the water treatment plant. For threats, it's if you roll that number or greater, so it'd be 5 or more. And he's got a pretty good chance of defeating that. So he'll place his character there. If he defeats him, he frees this up so that the resources of the room can be gotten. But also for this turn, you'll get a resource of his choice. 12. So yes, he defeats him. At the end of the turn, you'll remove this. I'll just move it down here to show that it's been defeated. He gets a resource of his choice. You can use a food. Blue will go. To build it, if he builds a room, it costs the amount that's required of resources for the room, which is shown in these, and you would take one from the pile. He doesn't, he's got 2 energy and 1 water, and so he doesn't have enough to build a room yet. He'll go to the diner. He gets 2 food. Yellow. If he goes to he can get an item if he goes to the wasteland. And if he spends 1 water, he can get 1 item. If he spends 2, he can discard all the item cards and replace them, and then choose 1. But he's just wanting to get an item, so we'll do that. Spend a water, go to the wasteland. Get an item. The choices are stim pack. Can use to heal, military fatigues, to train available dweller in strength. Gold watch. At game end, gain 1 happiness for every 2 of your food. Likes to military fatigues because he'd like to get the special ability of strength to get double the resources here in the power generator. He'll take that. Then you replace that with another item. Blue will go. To build a room, he's got 2 energy, 2 food, and 1 water. If he gets another energy, he can build a Nuka-Cola bottler. So he wants to do that. To get an energy, he can go to the power generator. Gets 2 energy. Then you recall the dwellers. It's the end of that turn, so you remove this threat. And now that room is available again. That's the end of the turn, and now we spawn threats. On a 7, no threats are spawned. And then we only check for the 1 level since there's no rooms down on these levels yet. And then place the dwellers. He needs more resources. So he'll go to water treatment again. Get a water resource. Blue's got a fair number of resources. Actually, he's got enough that he can build a Nuka-Cola bottler. He requires 1 water, 1 food, and 3 energy, and he has that, so he'll build that up. And this is his level, and you build it up either, you can start on either side of the elevator, but you have to have them either next to the elevator or next to another room, so he's got that. Takes a 3 energy, this is what's required here. 1 food, and 1 water. So there's that. And for building that, he gets 2 happiness. That'll help his victory conditions at the end of the game. Yellow, he wants to get another dweller, and he's got enough resources, but he's going to have to injure his dweller. So he'll put him there, and he'll injure him. When you injure him, you put him on the side. Spend 1 water and 1 food. I guess he did some battle, and therefore that's how he acquired another settler. This is the new settler he'll get. And then blue just has 1 food. He's going to go battle this red roach. And if he wins, he gets any resource he wants. If he had a special, then he would get double that. He needs a 5 or better. Roll both dice, so he's got a pretty good shot. 7, he wins. This will be removed at the end of the turn. And he'll choose to get a water resource. And the way you heal injured dwellers is by putting them here. That's the spot where they heal, so you'll have to put them there to heal them next time. And he'll be able to use this new dweller next time. So that's the end of the placement. Then we'll do recall. Take these guys back. This guy's still injured. And this thread is gone. And then since we put a new room here, you replace the room card. Then we'll see if we do any spawning. And now we check 2 rows because we have a room here as well. 9. So it goes right here in the water treatment, see which one it is. It's a glowing cockroach. You need a 6 or better to beat it. And then we check on this row. And if you get a 8 or a 9, then you get it here. It corresponds to the numbers that are on the top row. 10, so none there. Pawn placement. He'll put him up here to get healed for next time. He's got 1 food and 1 water. He wants to get an item, so he'll go over here and take an item. It's a stim pack. You can use it to heal a injured player, an injured dweller, so that's good to have. Take that and then you replace this. And he has to take a water off, because he got thirsty when he was in the wasteland. Yellow. He'll go to the diner, get 2 food. And he also has this military fatigues where exhaust in your turn to train an available dweller in strength. That's handy. And when you get an ability, you put him here. And blue goes. Fill in resources again. Go to the power generator, get 2 power. So let's look at Fallout Shelter, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games and based on the video game from Bethesda Games. Very impressed. I was kind of skeptical going into it. It looked like maybe it wasn't like a grown-up game because it's in this old school, lunchbox. But once I dove into it, I quite enjoyed it. And it's just kind of a small thing, but I really enjoyed like the storage solution they have in there. And it's kind of straightforward how they do the resources, and the little miniatures are great. I'm glad they have the miniatures scaled to, the mini size of the game itself. I think it's about as good as you can do for a small game. I haven't really looked at many modern small games. Very pleased with it. Plays pretty quick, but you have strategy, figuring out, what items you're going to do, how you're going to expend resources to get your rooms built up, and how you get happiness points to win. And I also like how they do the threads. They got these transparent, you put them on the rooms, and that's a really nice way of doing it instead of, needing a bunch of, bad guy miniatures. That's a really nice way of doing it. It's very efficient how it goes. I'm sure it plays well with, multiple players. Components are great. Of course, it's directly tied to the theme of the game. I'm very pleasantly surprised. It's always hard for me to know how to do the rankings. I just, rank out of 10, and all games are different. By ranking based on this class of game, I'm kind of going in between a 9 and a 10 for this. It's tempting to give it a 10, but 10 is perfect. And since it is, fairly basic mechanics, although it plays great, I think I'll give it a 9. But I highly recommend it. Fallout Shelter, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games. Thanks a lot.